Hello, dear viewer or viewers. Welcome back to another Dream Entry ASMR. So, I recorded this one, but I realized the Reddit user wanted to add something extra in this, and I did kind of use another microphone and try to edit it, but it just didn't sound right. It sounded, the other mic isn't nearly as good as these, and I wasn't hooked up to my linear recorder. So I wanted to just start from scratch for this one, because this is a good story or dream entry. This one was written by Physical Rice 730. I died last night. There I was, an American, on a street typical of what you would imagine in a World War II ravaged city. I see a group, 4 or 5 gunmen soldiers, near a truck. My intent, as I approached, was to take them out. A few moments passed that I don't recall, but the next thing I remember, I am next to their truck. For some reason, they were all in the cab of the truck firing towards something in front of them. I had a submachine gun and planned to open the door and engage them all. When I opened the driver's door, I fired 1 round, which did not hit anyone, and the gun stopped firing. The soldier in the driver's seat turned to me and pointed his gun, so I threw my hands up. For some reason, I knew the war was going to be over within 2 weeks, so I begged him not to shoot me. I had flashing visions of my family and offered to be a willing prisoner to serve all of them however they needed by getting them food, water, or cigarettes. I begged for my life. As he pointed his gun at my head, I saw the irony of the situation, that only a moment before I was going to kill them. He pulled the trigger, and I felt no pain as I fell to the ground. He wanted to add something here, too. When I had my first firefight in Iraq, the same sort of thing happened. Seems like yesterday, and is a vivid memory from 17 years ago. The enemy surrounded us in the city, and there was no clear target. As I popped up in the turret, I thought of my 7-year-old daughter and thought, alright, watch the windows and alleys. And it was game time. The world went silent as I fell, but I retained full visual clarity. My last vision was that of the litter-covered ground and the rear tire of the truck before everything went peacefully black, and I woke up. I've never died in a dream before. So this was an interesting one because it's a dream about death. I mean, yes, there's a theme here about World War II and everything, and everybody's at war. But the bottom line is the dream is about death. And the interesting thing is I've had dreams like this before, but dreams were actually, died in the dream. But they're not like, they didn't happen very often. These dreams are kind of rare for me. Usually in most dreams, when I would get close to death or something, or fall and like get close to like hitting the ground, I'd wake up beforehand. And like most people, when they dream of situations like this, they wake up before the actual death can occur. But I've had dreams before where I actually did die. There's one I had of a flashback. Every once in a while I have these dreams where, and I may have said this in a recent, or a past like dream entry that I had. I had a dream, a few dreams of like flashbacks of the accident. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but because there's like a whole video about this. But I was involved in a workplace accident a few years ago. And the weird thing about it is that I remember reading up on instances of people that have been through these near-death experiences, or when they go through a traumatic event and they sustain life-threatening injuries, and they don't feel any pain. And that always shocked me, because I was like, how can somebody go through so much pain and torture and yet not feel any pain whatsoever? And then I went through my own traumatic situation in my life, and I realized, yes, they were right. I felt no pain. And I think part of that, in a scientific way to explain this, is I think part of that reason was because I had so much adrenaline flooding my body at the time that my body was fighting to stay alive. And despite all the blood loss, I was still coherent enough to amazingly talk to people, let alone survive the ordeal that I was going through at the time. I don't know where I was going with this. I think I was trying to allude to the idea of death and dreams, like death dreams. This just made me think of this for some reason. But that's the thing, though, is I think dreams, when people try to dream of something like death, it's not an easy thing to imagine. In fact, death is something that's incomprehensible to us as human beings. It's outside the realm of normal reality. Because death is like a state of non-existence to us. Or at least most think so. I think the fascinating thing about it is that nobody really knows what happens when a person passes. Nobody really knows where that person goes or what happens after their spirit or their personality ceases. It's like a great mystery. It's like a great mystery that I don't think is going to be solved anytime soon, if ever. And I think dreams about death is our body's way, or our mind's way of trying to imagine what would happen upon death. Like in this guy's dream, when he was shot in the head, he felt no pain whatsoever, and then died shortly afterwards. And another interesting thing, the flashback, he had like a memory or something that happened in his actual life, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, he'd mentioned he served, and so I definitely thank him for his service, him or her for his service. But yeah, not really much more I can add to this one. I could talk all night about this subject of death. It's just a fascinating thing to me. I just don't want to take up too much time in this video. I mean, it's gone on long enough anyways. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Give it a like if you liked it. Support me on my channel. Go to patches_dreams_entries and post your dream, or you can even leave a comment on my channel of a dream you've had recently. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.